Welcome to Royal Legacy, where we will explore the rich athletic history and deep family connections of BYU sports. Join us as we honor the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to the future of the BYU Cougars. Here's your host, Lauren McLean.
Welcome to Royal Legacy, where we dive deep into the family connections of BYU sports. Today we are here with Dad John Hedengren and his kids Isaac and Jane Hedengren, three standout distance runners who did and continue to leave their footprint on the BYU cross country and track and field teams. Jane has taken the collegiate running world by storm in her freshman year, shattering records, all after one of the most decorated high school careers in U.S. history. Isaac is a redshirt sophomore at BYU, adding another chapter to the Hedengren legacy, starting indoor season very strong. And John's years as a Cougar in the 90s set the foundation for a family of elite runners. He was a 2015 BYU Hall of Fame inductee, and now he's a running coach and a chemical engineering professor at BYU. Guys, thank you so much for being here with me.
Yeah, thanks for hosting us.
How much are you loving this uncharacteristically warm weather in December? Jane, do you like to train in this kind of weather?
Most definitely. I like training in all types of weather for sure, but it is super nice not having to worry about snow and ice at this time of year.
Oh my gosh, I know we need the snow, but it's pretty great. And I'm assuming that's all I could think about. I'm like, these runners have to be loving this weather right now. All right, first, I'm really interested to hear how running became something the whole family shares and excels in. John, how did you carry your love for running down to your kids?
Well, I had a choice when I was going to be graduating. You know, some of my buddies were going professional, and I was like, well, I'm going to go down to Texas to pursue a PhD. But I never lost that love of running. And so when we started having kids, I'd load them up into the jog stroller and, just take them for runs in the neighborhood. And one of our favorite things was racing the bus. And the bus driver knew that we were racing him. And so he'd get ahead of us to the next stop, and we'd push ahead and get ahead of him. And Eric and Isaac were in the jog stroller, and they'd be cheering me on. And of course, I can't let a bus beat me if I've got my two little boys cheering for me. So we kind of kept it fun. Definitely a lot of jog stroller time. They just kind of grew up going to fun runs and other things like that.
Isaac, do you have any memory of chasing the bus or racing the bus?
I don't remember the bus part, but I remember growing up in the jog stroller, and he'd let us out at red lights, and me and Eric, we'd run down and back and then hop back in the jog stroller and we'd go. I loved that.
You were training since you were just little tykes. That's amazing. Isaac, when did you feel first like running became your thing and not just something you did with your dad?
I think freshman year. Before that, we did a lot of like club running, just stuff on the side for fun. But my older brother, he's a grade above me, and he ran his freshman year. And I feel like we're all very competitive, and I saw him doing well, and I was like, I want to do well at that. And so freshman year, I started to get into it.
Did you do any other sports as well, or was it always running?
Always running.
Wow. Jane, when did you first actually start falling in love with running yourself? I know you are extremely competitive. I read some articles about the two of you, especially John and Jane, that you guys just really duke it out when you're running. But when did you fall in love with running?
I think from the beginnings, there's definitely things I loved about the sport, but that's continued to evolve as I've progressed in the sport.
So you have three other siblings. How are they at running?
I have four other siblings actually, but they're awesome. It's fun to, just cheer them on and see where they're at, and to share some memories within the meets and the running and whatever we might be doing together.
John, at what moment did you realize that Isaac and Jane were special runners? Let's start with Isaac.
Yeah, I think, Isaac, every one of my kids have taken kind of a different journey. And, like he said, freshman year, he really took ownership of it. Whereas before it was like, hey, Isaac, do you want to come running with me? It became his thing, and he really loved it, and he started investing in it, and it became part of his identity. I think for him it was that freshman year and then sophomore year he started trying some new things, maybe train a little overtrained sophomore year, but then figured things out, and I think that's a whole process of, kind of learning and becoming, taking ownership of it, where something your parents excited about, but at a certain point you start loving it. And so that was Isaac's journey. And then Jane, I know she was from an early age just really wanted to join this local running club. And, we said, okay, we'll let you sign up for that. And so she ran with her coach, Adam. And I remember also, on the Provo River Trail, I'd take her out sometimes, and there was an 8-mile run that I had to do once. She was on the bike, and just this little kid, and I remember thinking in my head, she's keeping up with me. What is going on? And then I said, I'm going to push the pace and test her a little bit. And she not only kept up with me, but at the very end, she blew past me at the end. And I knew at that moment, I was like, okay, Jane, she's competitive, but then also she's got that endurance. And my kids have all have that. They have this kind of this endurance, but also this drive and competitive nature.
Mm. Isaac, how does one overtrain? You overtrained your sophomore year. What does that mean?
I kind of got it in my head that running isn't rocket science. The more you run, the better you'll be at running. So I bumped it up from probably 30, 40 miles a week my freshman year up to 60 to 70 my sophomore year. And just training too much, not recovering enough. Not that it's not possible to train hard, but just doing a couple things not completely correctly. And so, yeah, we learned a lot from that, though.
How do you feel like your dad helped you succeed as a runner early on?
I think that, he did an amazing job of, imagine if you're a parent and you were a pretty successful runner and your kid, you see a lot of potential in them. It would be really easy, they're 5 years old and you're like, all right, let's go for a run, get your running shoes on. But he'd bring us out in the jog stroller, but he never made any of us get into running. He never even almost didn't even not encourage. He let us choose to do it. And so I feel like the leading by example was always very helpful.
It was a passion of his, and that just kind of carried over to you.
Exactly.
Jane, I know how teenage girls' minds work because I had one myself. We don't always love being coached by our parent, but how was that dynamic with your dad as you started to get better and better at running?
Oh, it was great just to have him there as a role model. And I was still very young when he coached me, just my 7th and 8th grade years. And I think he was so smart with the amount of training I was doing and allowing my body to develop during that vital time where I was growing a lot and just allowed me to have a strong base, but also so much room to grow within the sport.
Did you just kind of soak up everything he had for you at that time? Was it easy to be coached by your dad?
Honestly, it was a little while ago, so I don't remember all of it, but I feel like it was pretty easy. I feel like I really appreciated all his advice and his input on training and the plan, and trusted in him because he also coached all my teammates, and we wanted to just be the best team we could be, and we trusted that he had our best interests at heart.
John, let's start with your story. You grew up in Washington, is that right? How did you first get into running?
7th grade, and I didn't really know about running. Somebody invited me out, and I showed up in jeans and just regular school shoes, and quickly figured out I didn't have the right equipment for coming out to run. And I saw a role model. I saw the guy ahead of me. His name was John Anguiano, and he was in 8th grade, and he ran a 4:46 mile that year. And I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to set this goal. I want to beat that record. And then the next year came, and I got more serious about training, and it came down to the last race. I was like, I've got to beat this record. I was close. And I beat it by 0.11 seconds in the end. And that moment, it kind of reminds me of when Jane was in 6th grade, when she was going after her 6th grade record. There's that moment where you're like, hey, I'm going after something big. I'm going to work for it for months at a time. And then you see that success, and then you're like, wow, I did something big. I did something bigger than I thought I could do. And in that moment, I kind of realized like, hey, I can work hard at this. I might not be the best runner right now, but I know how to work hard and stay disciplined.
Did you have someone tell you like, hey, you have the right physique? Like you could be really good at this. Did you have a mentor that helped you at that time?
You know, I had some great coaches, especially when I jumped into high school. I had Bruce Blizzard, he was a biomechanics expert. Mike Mills, he was he was a math teacher, so he's very analytical, broke down all of our performances. And then Keith Fuller, he was a collegiate runner, so he knew what it took to kind of get to the next level. So I felt like those three coaches were kind of unique on terms of what I needed at critical times. And I felt like, with Jane, even though I was her coach, there were other coaches like MacIver Clark, Jamie Ribera, Coach Taylor. So many people have like contributed to giving them information. Jane's like the CEO, and then you've got this board of directors. And Isaac, Ed Eyestone. I was coached by Ed, and now Isaac's coached by Ed. So it's fun to see this full circle moment, but this collection of coaches that have just rallied around me and my kids.
And speaking of Ed Eyestone, let's talk about how you developed so much as a runner that you were able to have the opportunity to run at BYU. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I made some goals in high school. One of those was to break my cross-country course record, and it was a 15:30 5K on a very challenging Richland High course. And every long run, I would tell myself this over and over and over again: I can run a 15:30. I can do this, and until I believed it in my core. Like I'd put the training in, but it fundamentally, like in my heart, I just believed I can run this. And then the race day came, and you get those butterflies when it's like you actually step to the starting line. And I started to like have all these kind of self-doubts that came in. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can run that time. And then I remembered the thousands of times I told myself that I can run a 15:30. I kind of caught myself. And in that moment, I was like, I'm going to run a 15:30 today. And I crossed the finish line that day in exactly 15:30. And it was in that moment, just like I made that goal of that, that 8th grade record. The same thing in track. I ran a 9 flat 2 mile, which at the time was, now it's not as good, but at the time
your kids are like,
yeah, I know. Yeah, Jane with a 9:17, which is incredible, and Isaac right there as well. So it's I think in those moments you work for something over a long period of time, and it's not necessarily saying like, oh, I have all this natural ability, but I'm able to augment what I have naturally with that determination.
Well, while you were here at BYU, you earned NCAA All-American honors in cross country, and you were named Academic All-American 5 times, more than any athlete in BYU history. How do you think striving to excel academically as well as athletically prepared you for your life now?
That's a great question. I think you see that a lot with runners, is that they excel at life because the things that you learn in running and in sport in general, willing to sacrifice, get up early, do hard things, have that grit to push through when it's uncomfortable. I think those are all qualities that really help you excel in life. And I felt like the two helped me. Like I felt like I did my best at school when I was also really busy in running. And so I feel like that kind of helped set me up for, like, hey, should I do a PhD? Yeah, I can do that. I've done hard things, So I think, it translates really well to, just to the life's challenges, that a lot of those same characteristics of something's difficult, you have to work at it a long time. You have to have that grit to succeed. And it's augmenting what you have naturally with that determination.
Did you say he was the most academic All-American in BYU history? That's a nerdy tendency.
Yeah, that's honestly why I got. I mean, and the guy that nominated me for the Hall of Fame, the BYU Hall of Fame. He's like, look, this is kind of the reason why you're getting in here.
Yeah. Academic to athletic was 1 to 5.
What are sons for, right?
Yeah,
I
for
mean, you gotta
sure.
be humbled, and that's why you have kids.
Yeah.
I just think it's incredible that you had 5 just incredibly athletic children. There is something to runners being the smartest athletes, though. I mean, I've interviewed a lot. They're all very smart. Don't get me wrong, but like very intelligent human beings. So I think that's really awesome. Jane, you ended one of the most historic high school athletic careers in the world and have started off your college career by placing second at NCAA's for cross country, breaking the collegiate indoor 5K record recently. What inspires you to keep pushing your own limits and always looking for how you can continue to improve?
I think a lot inspires me, but most recently, just being able to come onto this team at BYU, that has been such a huge inspiration. Both my teammates, the resources that we get to have here at BYU as student athletes, and coaches, and all of it. I think it's just been one of the most incredible things, and getting to see the ways in which my teammates build their life around like maximizing that performance in a seamless way, and how hard our coaches work to give us the best chance of having our training be super productive and be able to show out on the day. That's been a really huge inspiration for me coming into college and wanting to do the very best I can.
After your race in Boston, I saw on Instagram that you were praising your teammate, Riley Chamberlain, and you just did this incredible thing, but then you're cheering on your teammates. Why is that important to you?
Well, first of all, she's incredible, and like I am just so lucky to be on such an amazing team with so many amazing women. But like that's a big deal for her to break 15 in the way she did, and the range that she has. Like that was a really, really big deal. And so I wanted to just share some light on that. And yeah, I think my teammates are incredible athletes, but also just such incredible people. And so I feel really lucky to be surrounded by them and get to work hard with them every single day.
You're gaining such a big platform and following. I think that's a beautiful thing that you shine some light on your teammates. You've done this many times in your career, but what was that feeling like crossing the finish line in Boston a few weeks ago, knowing that you were shattering yet another record? Does that ever get old to you? Like, what is that feeling like?
Oh, man, it's a really special feeling, especially working at something for months at a time and not knowing how it's going to play out exactly. Of course, you're going to work your hardest and hope for the best, but you don't know, and there can be difficulties that arise. And so it was special that things aligned the way it did, and that I was healthy and happy and in a good place on that day, and I could push my limits to see where that time would put me, and just feeling grateful for the opportunity.
Isaac, you've known Jane since she's a little girl. You guys have been competing probably your whole lives. What's it like watching her rise so quickly on the national stage?
It's been really cool. Yeah, me and Jane are like best friends. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like everybody else is probably like, oh, like how is it possible? You see a lot of people that break records in high school. They get to college and they don't step up. Usually it takes a year, 2 years, or some people, like a lot of the high school records, you don't recognize the names because they never did anything in college. So I think a lot of people are like, dang, like how is Jane making this crazy transition? But I mean, like when you see what she does, the way she lives her life, like it all just makes sense.
I love that. That's a lot coming from a brother. Very nice.
Thank you.
John, has anything surprised you about the domination Jane has shown so far in her collegiate career?
Well, I think the thing that I hear from a lot of people is that she stays humble, and she stays hungry as well. And that's, I think, a good characteristic, that you're not like, oh, I've accomplished this, I'm going to kind of relax. And then at the same time, you respect your competitors, you welcome the challenge. It becomes a positive thing to have somebody that you're chasing that's up there with you. And so I think that those two qualities show, this is something that's not just a temporary thing, like Isaac said. This is something that she's in it for the long haul and setting herself up for a great a career. And I think it's something that as well. I love that Jane and Isaac both chose to come to BYU. It's something that you just live in. It's like it's your backyard. You've grown up here, and it's like, is this really special? Is this really something that I want to be a part of, or is it just because I'm close and my dad works here? And I think both of them together, they've created a family culture that is all about excellence, and achieving your human potential, what you can do with your God-given abilities. And I just seeing Isaac, number 5 all time in the steeplechase now, right behind Henry Marsh on the leaderboard, and seeing Jane just make a mark her freshman year. Like Isaac said, it's not surprising because you see the way these kids work and the way they live their life, and the decisions that they've made over months and years.
Jane, I've heard people refer to you as the Michael Jordan of running. When you were in high school and they were talking about you coming to BYU, they're like, no, you got to keep your eyes on this girl. She's like the Michael Jordan of running. You won Gatorade Best Player of the Year at the ESPYs along with Carlos Boozer's son, right? Cameron? That was so random. Love Carlos Boozer from back in the Jazz days, and so many other national accolades. So you're sponsored by Nike Running and Garmin watches. How do you stay grounded and focused amidst all the noise? Because you got a lot of people around you trying to get you to do different things. How do you stay grounded?
Well, I just think it's a really cool opportunity for right now where I'm at to be pushing those limits for the time being. But I also realize how quickly it can be taken away. And I've seen that time and time again, at least within high school, like how a sickness or an injury can just totally derail you for what you thought you would be able to do, or your potential on your own. And so I just really like to look at it through the lens of I'm doing this with God, and He's giving me this ability and this time right now to try to maximize where I'm at. But I also trust in the plan He has for me and others around me, and where He wants me. And so I'm going to do the very best for where I'm at right now, which is trying to achieve some great things within my athletic endeavors. But I just like to have that perspective of things can change, and trying to be patient and see it through a holistic view.
Finding joy in the journey, as they say, right? Isaac, you just recently placed first in the mile at BYU's indoor home meet, running one of the all-time fastest times at altitude. How good did that feel when you crossed the finish line?
I died at the end, so it didn't feel very good.
It didn't feel good?
No, it wasn't.
Physically, how did it feel mentally and emotionally when you crossed the finish line?
I mean, my goal, I ran 4:03, and my goal was a lot faster than 4:03. So I was proud of. I went for it. Like, I threw 1,200, 1,300, 1,400 meters. I was on pace for my goal, and then I died a little bit the last 200 meters. So I was proud of like my mentality in the race, and like my willingness to be vulnerable and like explore new, like, I don't know, a new area. But the finish, it felt all right. I was it could have been worse,
You runners are too hard on yourselves, man. That was an incredible race.
Thank you.
John, what was going through your mind when you saw Isaac coming up the last stretch in first place?
Oh, he has worked so hard, and coming off cross country where he really wanted to be out there. It was one of those moments where I talked to Ed Eystone. He's like, I just needed 2 more weeks with Isaac, to get him into nationals. And so it's been fun to see kind of like him recover from the injury, get healthy, put in some really good training, and then just kind of show off his fitness. at altitude, which equates to about a 358 mile at sea level. So he's already hitting equivalent personal best times right now and just starting the track season. So I think it's exciting as a parent to see that, like to him go for a big goal, come up a little bit short, but also, I mean, he's got a personal best under his belt right at the beginning of the season. So it's something that it shows me that he's got a lot of potential doing that solo as well. He gets in a pack, gets some draft, gets in there with other runners on a better track at sea level, and magic's going to happen. And I think that he's put in the work. He's put in, it's almost like a formula. You put in these certain things, and good things are going to happen. But it's hard to do that. It's hard to train for months at a time when you're injured. You can't travel with the team.
What injury are you coming off of, Isaac?
I broke my leg over track season. It was a stress fracture. I had 3 stress injuries in my tibia and fibula.
How were you able to, and you're probably still fighting through it, but what helped you to mentally get through and continue to work through those injuries in your recovery?
I don't know. It's like kind of just what you do. What do you think, Jane? That's a really good question. Because me and Jane have had the same injury. We both had a stress fracture in our tibia. What helped you? Because we had similar recoveries.
Yeah, so I think something that you did a really great job of throughout your injury process was like looking into all the other aspects of your life where they could be improved while you couldn't be running and doing the thing you loved. And so that was really inspiring to see from my perspective of you dialing in your sleep and reading these amazing books that are going to give you so much insightful knowledge about how to improve as a person and athlete, and looking into those areas that so once you can start running again and once you've been able to, you can take those habits and those things that you learned throughout that process and apply them now as you're running and just be able to have that new insight and knowledge going forward and striving to be a better person.
I like that. Yeah, it was like you're training so much when you're healthy. I feel like the way I coped, especially with injury, is like just find different ways to train. So like I remember I got off crutches and I was in a boot, and our PT, he prescribed me walking. He's like, you can go for 3 walks a day for 5 minutes. And so that was like my training almost. I was like, structuring my day, and like my training was like, okay, I'm gonna go to bed at 8:30 and then get 12 hours of sleep because that's really good for recovery. So it's like instead of my training being, I'll run, 6 miles in the morning, 10 miles in the afternoon, you're structuring it and you're like, I'm going to go for 3 walks today and, do some core exercises. Just shifting the mentality.
Still training, but in a different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Jane, what's it been like for you watching Isaac have success while you're also flourishing in your own career and you get to do it together?
Yeah, it's been incredible, and Isaac is a huge reason I wanted to come to BYU is to have the chance to be teammates together again, because we got 1 year together in high school, and that was amazing, but it's just been so much fun to get to be teammates again and hang out throughout our days on campus and hear about his workouts and, just have that close relationship and continuing. It's also been really cool being teammates together to like share things that we're working on or that we think the other person could do a little better, and just getting that feedback and working together to try to grow in the best ways we can.
Someone who can be brutally honest with you, right? I feel like a sibling, you're like, just lay it out there. There's no sugarcoating anything. Is that how you two are with each other?
Yeah.
Pretty brutally honest?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
And I love that. Yeah.
Isaac, in an article a few years back, faith was highlighted as a core part of your journey. How has your faith shaped the way you train and compete and deal with challenges that come your way?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's nice to have something that's bigger than you out there. I don't know. What do you think, Jen?
Yeah, I think faith is a huge part of both of our journeys, and I think it becomes this grounding factor that regardless of how the running is going, you can find joy in life and a purpose and serving others and trying to develop these Christ-like attributes that are so important, and that people around you need, that love and that charity, and so that's been really cool to see you apply within sport and life of having something that you really love of this sport and running that you're trying to develop, and but also keeping that perspective of there's so much to life, and also in the ways that you're showing up for others and for yourself, and keeping those grounding factors that ultimately are going to help you flourish.
Yeah, I think like running is very simple. You're just like trying to move your legs faster than the guy next to you, and sometimes it's like, I don't know, it's nice to have like something bigger, something like more important in life than like, because sometimes it's very, I don't know, you can get very dialed in on like just why am I not moving my legs fast enough. But yeah, totally.
And I feel like at times when you're super dialed in, and it can become a negative thing and almost be something that seems a little shallow or selfish. And so keeping that faith and perspective has been really big for both of us, I think.
Yeah.
Especially because you both know, like you mentioned, that anything can be taken away at any time with injury or whatever. So I love that you guys have that perspective of something bigger, which I'm sure came from your parents instilling that in you. Was that something that was important to you, John, with these guys growing up? Obviously, running is such a big part of your family and who you are and what you do. But what role did faith play in what you taught your children?
Certainly, and it was during one time when Jane was injured, and she had this hip injury, and I remember she's always been great about asking for blessings, and so there was one time where she was discouraged, things weren't working right. There were some big championship races coming up, and she asked for a blessing. I remember the next day coming out to the track and seeing her on the track, and I knew that she was going to try to run, and I didn't know how successful that was going to be, and I saw her in tears, and I was like, I came up to her fully expecting her to say like, "Dad, it hurts too bad," but instead she said, "Dad, it doesn't hurt. Like, I am able to run today," and she just had so much joy. And so I think that these two things are coupled. You work as hard as you can, but kind of like the idea that, and the teaching that we're saved after all we can do, it's by grace we are saved after all we can do. I feel like both of them apply that principle in their running. Like they're willing to give 100%, sometimes 110%, but they also expect and rely on something bigger than themselves to carry them through.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll hear more about cementing the Hedengren name at BYU, sibling rivalry, and what advice they'd give future Cougs everywhere. This is Royal Legacy. Want to know what drives BYU's greatest athletes? Deep Blue takes you beyond the stats and into the stories. Host Jason Shepard sits down with Cougar legends and rising stars to uncover what makes them tick. New episodes every Tuesday. Subscribe to Deep Blue wherever you get your podcasts.
And now back to Royal Legacy and your host, Lauren McLean.
Welcome back to Royal Legacy. I'm Lauren McLean, and I'm here with current BYU distant runners Isaac and Jane Hedengren, along with their father John, a BYU distance legend himself. All right, Jane and Isaac, is there ever a competitive edge between the both of you, or has it always felt more supportive than competitive? How would you describe what your relationship with running together was like growing up and now?
Well, I feel like the two can coexist of being competitive. And yes, we're not competitive currently on our times. Obviously, Isaac is running much faster than me, but more so being competitive in the ways in which we can support each other with sleep and nutrition, and always trying to make that better. And so I think both roles are huge within our relationship.
If we raced, you'd kill me.
Is that right?
I think it would be a lot more competitive if I was a girl or if she was a guy.
Yeah,
because then it would be like we'd be racing each other.
Mm-hmm.
But like she said, I mean, we're not in the same races. We don't run the same workouts. Like our training isn't similar at all.
Right.
I think the biggest thing is it's really cool. You see a lot of twins in running, which I think is really cool. Like I have 2 teammates right now that are twins. The Stanfords and then the Thompsons.
We've had them both on the show. Love them.
Nice.
They're awesome.
And it's really cool to see, like, you have, like, a built-in accountability partner. It's, like, their success, like, I mean, for a normal person, like, they run well and then they realize, like, oh, like, I can push the envelope a little bit. But it's really cool with a sibling or a twin, and it's, like, they do it, and all of a sudden it opens up new light for you, and you're like, oh, wait, I guess this is possible.
You're like, we have the same DNA. I should be
Exactly.
able to do everything they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, what about other areas in life, Isaac? Are you guys competitive in anything else, like board games or whatever it is?
Board games get serious. Yeah, we hate to lose. We play this game called Scum, and sometimes start throwing punches.
I doubt that.
Usually Jane starts it.
she seems just like an
Flips
angry.
the table,
Yeah,
throws
I'm
her
sure.
cards at you. It's Monopoly where they swipe the board.
Let's get a dad's perspective, John. How do these two push each other to do better? Do you think?
All the children in our family are competitive, and I think Jane put it well. They can coexist. You're competitive yet also supportive, because you know when you're setting that example, when you're setting that pace, that it inspires your sibling to say, "Hey, I can do that too." And so I love that about their attitude. They see competition as a positive thing, as something that helps them grow, almost like gravity, that it feels like it's holding you down, but really it's making you stronger. And so I see that, all the time. I think that's one of the things that, we've, just like we train bodies and we get recovery, we also work on the sports psychology side of things. And so Tom Galati, when he was here, and now we have, great resources, with BYU sports psychologists and others that just kind of help you deal with kind of the pressure and expectation. And that's something that's real. You see things, athletes that see things on Instagram or on social media or other things, you feel that weight. It's almost like a competition that you feel expectations or weight. And so we've tried to take that and make it into a positive thing, especially in the family, because that's a real thing. You're on a national stage, and younger siblings or others feel that weight of feeling like they have to try to meet up to expectations. And each one is routing their own journey. And I think that's they've all taken a very healthy attitude toward that. We're competitive, but we're also on our own journey.
Running is unique that way, isn't it? Because I feel like a lot of other sports, baseball, basketball, football, you can still say, like, I'm the best, because there's nothing to compare. You know what I mean? Like the numbers, it's not like just my time's better than yours. Like running is just so simple like that. So it is easier, I'm sure, to compare yourself to other runners, which can make it more difficult. Do you ever feel that way, Jane, where you're like, have to get out of your head with social media and all the other things and all the other things you're seeing the runners do?
Yeah, I think particularly this last semester, my coach and teammates have been really good about, and family have been really good about taking me under their wing a little bit and like just be like, no, we're not gonna read into that. Like we're just gonna keep working and keep grounding ourselves on who we are and whose we are, and working through that, and yeah, just having that grounding source and perspective and making it your own, and not trying to live up to a certain expectation or pressure that is totally external.
Who we are and whose we are. I really like that. I like that a lot. John, do you guys ever run together as a whole family? I'm talking all 7. Do you ever have an opportunity to do that?
One of the reasons why I've kept up my fitness is because I really love running with my kids. Just yesterday, Isaac wanted to run, and so we did, 8.5 miles. And then Jane was running at the BYU grass loop, so I ran a couple with her. And then Susan wanted to run in the afternoon. So I think by the end of the day, I'd run 19 miles. And I was like, my legs were so tired. But at the end of the day, I was like, I loved today because I got to spend time with, and also, just time with my kids. And I love those runs where you're able to just be running side by side and have those deep conversations about things that are really meaningful. And I feel like running just elevates our family relationship.
Jane, what's something you guys do as a family that has nothing to do with running?
I would say going back to board games. We are a big game family, and we really enjoy that. We have a lot of different favorites, and different people in the family have different games, and so it's fun to bounce around and play different ones that we all enjoy.
So board games, would you agree with that, Isaac?
Yeah, board games get ugly.
So no pickleball, no. I feel for some reason pickleball's been like one of the most common ones that these athletes play with their family. But you guys need to give your legs a break.
I feel like you're kind of gassed after training, so it's nice.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Like games and cooking probably is and baking is probably some of the things that we do together that we enjoy.
So fun. John, what type of dad are you on the sideline? Are you the quiet observer? Or are you kind of the loud cheering your kids on as they're coming around?
I got this one. He's got his camera. That's the dad that he is. He's always running around at track meets. He doesn't cheer. He's got his camera with the tripod. I swear he runs more in the race than we do because he's at every single point. And it's great because you get a great video after and you can analyze your form. But yeah, he always has the camera.
Well, I think Jane said once, she's like, I'm there with the camera and the microphone's right there. And so I cheered her on for a couple races, and she's just like, Dad, don't cheer on the video. You ruined it.
Oh, jeez, that's
Whoa, I don't know if I said that. Did I actually?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that sounds like a high school Jane comment.
So anyway, I just stay quiet and, and really try to highlight and bring that out. And one of the things that I've seen is that I sometimes I get so kind of like my heart is racing so fast at the end of those races, like that it's hard to hold that camera still.
Oh, I can't imagine.
And I feel like it's just going to bust out of my chest. Like I feel such excitement and such joy just that, even when they're not in first place, I just see them going after those big goals. And I love that. I love, and then being able to go back later and just watch that again and again and just see, kind of relive some of those experiences. It's been a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm definitely on kind of the, have a nice camera out there and capture the moment.
You might be grateful for Jane's advice, as you're rewatching instead of just having your voice yelling the entire
makes for
time.
better videos, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, but one thing that was really special, though, this past year at Brooks PR is I finally got some cheers out of my dad on my last lap. Because I'm sorry, I didn't even realize I had said that, but that was really special because I know you are pretty big about, keeping the video quality high and maybe not having that external noise, but I just remember coming through that last lap and hearing you cheer me on. I just knew you got a little excited. And,
I couldn't hold back.
Yeah, it was so exciting. I loved it. Yeah.
All right, I have one last question for you, Isaac and Jane. We'll start with Isaac. What advice would you give to aspiring runners who look up to you and want to be able to do the things that you've done?
That's a really good question. He has his camera at the meets and he always interviews you after. I'm gassed after that mile and he was like, yo, let's do an interview. I can't do an interview. But he asked me that same question, what advice would you give to someone? And I said, it's okay to try new things. It's not always going to work out, but there's a saying I really like, and it says, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so, I don't know, try something try something new. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but like you learn and you guess and check, and eventually you find things that work, and then you try new things, you know?
Yeah. I think that's really cool advice. And your dad was just preparing you for this moment
Exactly,
right now.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Jane, you have so many little girls that look up to you and are following your career. What advice would you give them if they want to become someone like you?
I just think knowing your why and keeping that perspective as you are working towards big goals, and keeping that perspective of this sport is amazing and you can enjoy it and work hard at it. That's amazing. But trying to love others around you as you're on that process, and serve others, and take care of yourself and give yourself grace, and just be patient throughout that development process, especially, and giving yourself grace while you're continuing to learn things, and that's okay, and seeing that as a challenge and a gift of, yeah, I can grow and I can make mistakes, and this will all be good, and taking those mistakes for great learning opportunities, and you just keep moving forward, and loving and understanding why you're doing what you're doing, and keeping that purpose at the root.
I think that's beautiful. I'm here with BYU distance runners John, Isaac, and Jane Hedengren. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much for taking the time. Good luck in the rest of the season.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks to Christy Solomon for producing this episode with senior producer Terry South. Royal Legacy is a production of BYU Radio.